Okay. So there again, we're in Mamar Ikorim.
Page 382.
Or over here it's 181. So the subject is about Navuah. We said these are essays based on the Ikorim, on the fundamental principles. So the Rambam has Yud Gimel Ikorim, so he made essays. He makes 10 essays over here, so I don't know how he exactly adjusts it to the 13. Maybe he would combine some. Like here, he combines two, Navuah and Navuah's Moshe Rabbeinu. And the Yud Gimel Ikorim is divided into two. That there is prophecy, and that Moshe Rabbeinu's prophecy is something unique. So he's going to explain to us the issue of Navuah. In Derech Hashem also, it's at length, much more elaborate, but over here it's condensed. So we'll start again. Hashem desired, he wished, and he prepared a kind of a revelation that he reveals himself to people. Odam b'chaim b'olam hazeh, while they're still alive. That's a huge chiddush, that Hashem reveals himself to people while they're still alive. It's a possibility that a person could have a revelation and communicate with Hashem in this world. Communicate means that he talks to us, that we can talk to him, so that's called tefillah, and we can do that always. But the fact that Hashem talks to man is a great darga called Navuah, and Hashem made such a possibility. So when Hashem reveals himself to them, so he reveals to them issues. Means that there's going to be information that they're going to get. The information is like you get a phone call. So one I'm saying in the mashal of the phone call, that one issue is that the other party is talking to you, and then there's what did he talk to you? The content of what he said. But the essence fact that he communicates is also a chiddush in itself. But there wouldn't be any communication if there wouldn't be information that's being transmitted. So when Hashem reveals himself to people, so there's going to be information that he's going to reveal to them. Secrets, mysteries, secrets, and other issues of his hashgacha, how he controls the world, how he conducts the world, and what he's going to bring upon the creations. And that is called Navuah. This issue that Hashem reveals himself to people is called prophecy. This revelation is in specific ways. How Hashem reveals himself to people. That what Hashem in his wisdom saw appropriate. And there are different levels. It means not all Navuah is the same. There's a certain minimal thing that in order to be called Navuah, it has to be on a certain minimal level, but that doesn't mean that that's the only level. There are different levels of more intent Navuah.
There could be different reasons also.
Reasons also.
Bilam.
No, so Bilam, we said we had ended off last week that the Pasha says that Bilam was not Navuah at all. And the whole issue of Bilam, his prophecy was through Kochas HaTumah, not through Navuah. And that's clear in the Pasuk of Bukhari, because it says at the end of everything, it says, below Allah kefam b'fam l'kras nechashim. On the last time, when he already gave up, he saw that he's not going to be able to say what he wants to say. So he said he didn't try anymore nechashim. Nechashim means kilo nachash b'yakov lo kesem b'yisur, kind of a sorcery. So you see openly, Mamash Pasuk Mufurash, that the way that Bilam was getting information and supernatural communication was not to Hashem, it was from Kochas HaTumah. And we're going to have that also. When we get to Derech Hashem, we'll talk about that, the way that people could communicate to spiritual beings, but not Dafka Kedusha. There's also Koch HaTumah, Sitra Achra. So Bilam, it says openly that it was through Kishuf and sorcery. And the fact that Hashem put into his mouth the words that he wanted to, so that, I don't know if that's considered Navuah either. I don't think that he had a revelation.
What bothers me is that we always called it Navuah till this day. I've always been hearing he had great Navuah. Why are we calling it Navuah if it's in such a
right, so I don't know if the term, I don't know where the term comes from. Is it called Navuah in the Gemara? Does the Gemara call Bilam Lakam Navi Odom? That's what the Gemara says. Okay, so then it's just going to be that he was the same level of Tumah as he was so kadosh, he was so tamei. But you have to be really tamei to be on that level of being so much in Moshe Rabbeinu. So it's called Navuah. So,
but we see that he is visited for a purpose. There's a purpose for the Varsham to communicate with him.
So I'm asking that it's possible that it was not that Hashem was communicating with him. Hashem was putting words into his mouth, but not that there was a level of Navuah. I think I will have to check it up again. Bilam, till he came to this particular episode, it wasn't Navuah at all. And even the first two times that he tried, it was L'kras nechashim. So Hashem put words into his mouth, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it was Navuah. Not necessarily. Maybe.
The Medrash says that Hashem gave Navuah to the Goyim so that they shouldn't say it.
But the word to the going would mean that they have a way of super. Right.
Definitely is.
Why did they go to Bilam
Because he had a very big koach.
of Tumah?
Yeah, and he was able to, and his klala was able to. He was able to accomplish with his klala work. Klala is something we don't understand so much, but there's something. It's like you give a physical punch to somebody, so there's a way to give a spiritual punch, and it works. Doesn't mean that. They say, how can I hit somebody? Only if Hashem wants that I should hit him. But that's not true. There's such a thing called bechira, that Hashem gives an arena of free will that a person might be mazik, might not be mazik. So the same way you could give a physical punch, so there's a way to give a spiritual attack, and that's through a klala. So there's a koach of broch and klala. You see the whole time in the Torah. There's a thing called a koach of broch and klala. So it's a
In order
metzius.
to get that bracha, you have to fichus Tumah.
So it could be that there's something that's more. There's more koach. It means anybody that's not supposed. No one's supposed to curse, right? There's an avera to curse, and bracha. There's such thing. Brachas hediot, kilulas hediot, alti kilulas hediot, kala beinecha. But it seems that the more that a person is empowered, so his bracha or klala is going to be worth more. That's even I feel brachas hediot, kilulas hediot. But when somebody's more than that, so then it has more power. And there's a power of kedusha. There's a power of tumah. So I imagine that's what this issue of Bilam is, but
So someone can give a bracha b'koach hatumah also.
maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I like to say I don't know when I don't know, and I don't know. If a person, the same way that a person, if there's a person, let's say, is going to give a bracha, that someone should be rich. So if a bracha is the same way we say by a klala, someone can curse. So usually we're talking about that a person is turning to Hashem, and it's a bracha klala that is coming from Hashem. But after you see by Bilam, there's such a thing as koach hatumah, that he can give a klala from koach hatumah. So it may be that he can give a bracha also. He's going to give the bracha to the wrong person. He's going to try to bless the evil person. He should be matzliach in his evil endeavors. That he should have atzlach, he should get wealth and use it in the way he wants to do it. So is there such a thing? So it's possible. Maybe it's possible. But again, all this is saying I don't know. I wasn't prepared for the question. Maybe I'll try to come back next week with more information about Bilam and those kind of nevuahs.
This is not a rehearsed
Should I just ask a question to clarify? If the Rav said that it's a big chiddush that the Rebbeinu Shalom communicates with
people.
What in how is it manifested as a chiddush?
No, after the Torah
Why is it a chiddush?
that Hashem
I mean,
relates to people that will talk to people.
Anybody who has any knowledge of history knows from Bereshit Bar Hashem spoke to mankind. So why should it be a chiddush if all we know is God communicating with
Right.
man?
I didn't mean to say that it's a chiddush that once someone has the Torah, once we have the Torah and also the history, so we know there's such a thing. But the fact that Hashem invented, so to speak, initiated such a possibility that he talks to man.
He instilled into his bria the ability for him to have a relationship
with the man, that he does
a
it.
relationship or communication?
Communication. That it's going to be a relationship. We'll see that we're going to see that it's more than communication. It's going to be a relationship. But it's if we would talk about the blueprint of creation, and here that Hashem is going to reveal, that we'd be surprised. Like Hashem in all of His infinity, the fact that He made us and He's taking care of us and guides us is already a chiddush. That Hashem is making a nivra and taking care of him. But the fact that He communicates and He's going to give us, talk to us and information, and there's going to be such a kind of a close, so that's a chiddush. I mean, maybe say the main chiddush is that it's while we're still alive. Odom b'chaim b'olam hazeh. The fact that there's going to be a connection and communication and relationship in Olam Haba that we know already, that's Tachlis Abriya, which itself is also mind-boggling. But once we have it, we know it's Olam Haba, that a person could have a relationship in Olam Hazeh in the way that Hashem is communicating to him. That's what I meant to say, that it's a chiddush. But not, you're right, after the psukim, that's not a chiddush. It's not. I didn't mean that.
But I think this plays into the question that the ancients had, that they thought God is separate from the world. He made it and walked away. The 5 different things that they were nitcho in. So this is one of them. They don't think that man had a relationship.
They thought that Hashem, Azav Hashem Asa'aras, that Hashem forsook the land, even though He made it, but He doesn't have constant care of it. So here, this with Navuah shows that it's not true.
Who
Yes.
thought that way?
What?
Who thought that way?
That's Tunis when he talks about the mistakes of mankind. So he talks about 5 main mistakes, and one of them is when there's even though Hashem made creation, they didn't have this shigaon of today about evolution, but that I showed you the design. Everything's designed with such amazing plan and purpose that it's ridiculous that everyone should even think about something that happened by accident. So that even the ancients didn't have that mistake. Only in modern days we got so advanced. And
Today we know how to make real mistakes.
but the Das Tfunis brings down 5 mistakes of mankind that they didn't think that Hashem is controlling. One of them is that Avodah Zarah, that even though over the Chavim Umazalos, that even though Hashem made the Bria, but He gave it over to people, to not the people, He gave it over to Kochos to take charge and to take care. So that's what you're referring to. That Oz of Hashem Asaretz, Bez Hashem, one day we'll see it in Das Tfunis.
When they were able to Zara, they thought that Hashem created the world, but now He gave it over to the...
Yes.
They didn't think that the
Avodah Zarah didn't think
Zara
is the one who is the creator. If they would think that the Avodah Zarah, so to speak, is the one who created the world and the one who's guiding it, and so then they just have a different name for the same one. Then it wouldn't be considered.
What does that mean then by power? Where it says the power
Leo Rivani Asisini. That I don't think it means to be literal that he made himself. I don't think so. I think it means that he's acting as if he's
that he didn't know the Rebbeinu Shalom's name. Didn't know that.
So it doesn't mean that he didn't know that he's the creator of the world, but he says he didn't know Yud Kei Vav Kei. He didn't know that Hagav Hashem, which is you see over there in the whole parsha Shmos Vayera.
And he knew.
You might say that. He says that the whole issue by Am Yisrael also Mashemo, what should I tell them?
So
There's issue of what Hagav Hashem is going to conduct himself at that time.
So why would they serve stones?
This is not a question, right? So the parsha says that it's not stone.
Representing the mazel that they were trying to
Right. They weren't so foolish that they took the stone. The pasuk does sometimes ridicule them, but I think that it's the same way you'd say that somebody serves the dollar. So it's an expression of saying it's a piece of paper. Like, what are you doing? But they'll say, no, I'll explain to you. I'm not serving the dollar. It's because it has buying power. So the same thing would be with Avodah Zarah. He takes a piece of wood, but he does it. He's not serving the piece of wood. He knows that it's just a piece of wood. Like the pasuk says, he takes half of it, throws it into the fireplace. The other half he bows down to and says, "You're my father." So that's ridiculous. So they didn't mean that. They meant to serve the koach that it represents. But the pasuk was ridiculing them because if that's all it is, it means that Hashem is in control, and you're not going to get anything from the dollar. You're not going to get anything from the Avodah Zarah. The reason why people would have followed it is because they got results. If they served the Avodah Zarah, the Gemara brings down that people saw that they got results from it. It's like somebody that is doing an Aveira, but the Maisa, he gets results. He's a Ganav. So don't you know that Hashem said don't do it? Yeah, but I see that it works. So then they have to know that Hashem is in control and He's going to manipulate and orchestrate whatever He wants you to get, even if you're going to be able to steal the bank, but it's not going to be worth it at the end. So that's the issue of Avodah Zarah. But back to Navuah. So there's a Hashem made that He reveals Himself to people.
That means he talks to them, or just in things that he happens, you see that he's...
No, that's not Navuah. That would be anybody. Anybody can see to study the current events.
We see it all the time.
So, but that's not Navuah. Navuah is going to be that he's communicating and so how it's going to be? So there's going to be more elaboration in the Derech Hashem when we get to it. But here it is going to be a summary, a short summary, an essay about the issue of Navuah. So he says that this is in unique ways. And there are different levels that we're up to. One thing that is clear, even on the lowest level of prophecy, is that it's clear without a doubt to the Navi that what's happening to him is Navuah. It's not like he's maybe dreaming, maybe he had a nice dream, maybe wishful thinking, anything like that. There's no question that he knows that he was experiencing prophecy. He's trying to lafuke. He wants to exclude that there's no room for mistake. Not in the fact of that he's experiencing the Navuah, and also he understands what's being told to him. We get into the sugya of Navi Sheker, the false prophet. What is the false prophet? So here he's saying that it's not going to be because of a mistake that he thought that he's getting Navuah, and he didn't. In general, there's definite consciousness of what it is. No mistake. No room for mistakes.
Who knows that? It's just the Navi.
The Navi will know for sure.
We don't know.
Okay, that's the other pasuk talks about. How do you know? That the pasuk talks about how do you know who to trust? So the pasuk says that if he proves himself by predicting different things that happen the way he said, so then you're allowed to trust him. He has a chazaka that he's a Navi. So he says, if he says the more face is going to come, and it comes, so then you trust him. So that's already hilchos. How do we discern who's a true prophet or not? But here he's talking about the act, what Navuah is. So far he says that it's Hashem's communication to man, and there are different levels, but even on the minimum level, he has no doubt about what's happening, both in the experience and also in what is being revealed to him. He understands what's being told to him.
Is a malach appearing to somebody?
That's not Navuah. That's not Navuah. There's such a thing, but that's not Navuah. Navuah means that Hashem is communicating to him.
What's that? Malach.
Gilui, I don't recall the term that it's called, but there's some revelation from either a neshama of previous, someone's neshama is also kind of a ruchani being, or a malach, or shedim. Also, he talks about the Derech Hashem that they could have sitra achra, like we said before, that there could be a revelation that the person could communicate with spiritual beings.
There's a lot of stories that the person right before they die, they see.
Have some kind of revelation. So I think after he finishes, it'll be something that also he'll explain Ruach HaKodesh and even something less than Ruach HaKodesh. He's going to say a few levels over here. Plus,
Does it always have to be? We said before that the Goyim also have from Keiches HaToma. Does it have to be Keiches HaKadosh or Keiches HaToma? A revelation, or it could be something which is just a...
What is it going to be? What is it? If it's supernatural, then I think it's one of the two.
Anything supernatural is one of the two.
I would think so.
Not just in the void. Like if someone says that he's
Energies.
a neshama or something.
So a neshama means a spiritual being.
Right.
So
that it can't be from like a natural energy that he has.
I don't think so. I mean, I heard about this kind of thing, but I don't get it. Either it's Kodesh or Tameh. I don't know if there's anything that's supernatural energies that are not one of the two. I don't think so. But I'm not saying b'vadaut, but I haven't come across it. I don't know, and I don't know what that is. There's the natural world, there's the Gashmi, and then there's Ruchani. In the Ruchani, there's Kedusha and Tumah. In the spiritual world,
But in our world, there's also Chayil, something which is not.
but it's Gashmi. That's physical. There's a physical world.
So maybe there's a spiritual which is not holy or not thing.
Just like in the physical world, you have Kodesh and
Chol
Chol and
and
Tameh
Tameh.
kind of thing. So is it possible that in spirituality there's also going to be a being that's not considered Kodesh nor Chol? The Ramchal doesn't spell it out like that. When he talks about the spiritual beings, he tells us what they are. I didn't see it. So I'm not saying, I like to say what I know. It seems that's what it says. It doesn't seem to say it. I don't know. If there is, then I don't know about it. When this happens to a Navi, so it's preceded by a great shuddering, and all of his limbs are in movement. He's like a shuddering person. And also his senses are numbed. And he remains like a person who's sleeping. He's like in a trance. When he receives Navuah, he's out of his regular state of being, and he goes like into a trance. And then in this trance, in this slumber, when he's out of consciousness, so then he sees whatever he sees. Whatever vision is being shown to him, that's when he sees it. He sees it in a state of trance, not in his waking state. It doesn't mean he goes to sleep. It means that he could be even standing up, but he's like in a trance. He's out of regular consciousness. He's going to perceive that revelation of Hashem's glory, and he's going to know what Hashem wants him to know. That's a chiddush. That he's going to say soon that Moshe Rabbeinu maybe is different, like the pasuk says that there's a bucket of hakits. But regular Navi, the regular Navuim are only when they're in a state of trance. It's not going to be when they're conscious in their regular physical consciousness.
The Midrash says that they would have to be undressed, or they were not.
No, that's based on you get again that probably the pasuk by Shol that it says when he had some experience of Navuah, so it says such a thing. And the Mepharshim over there say that it means he took off his royal garb. That's what it means. As far as I saw, I didn't see anything different. This is the point we said before. When someone gets a phone call from somebody very chashuv, like somebody will say, Rav Chaim Kanevsky spoke to me yesterday. So he said, what did he say? What's the difference what he said? He spoke to me. So I'm not saying there's no difference what he said, but that's the aspect of that fact that he spoke, even besides the fact of what he spoke. So here he wants to make that point, that besides the information that he gets, in order to have that information, there's a great closeness that Hashem is connecting to him. That's an issue on its own, besides the information that he got. In order to have that revelation, it has to be that he's very cleaving to Hashem. very dveikus gadol, that he's zocha to that revelation. V'ulam mitzad dveikuso zeh tia malos umala gadola. That connection is a very great ma'ila. Besides the information that I got, the actual connection. The connection itself is the thing to be focused on by itself. That there was a connection. He was connected to his davik b'Hashem. Usually we talk about dveikus and olam haba, and here he's saying that dveikus is possible even in olam hazeh by the level of a navi. We always spoke about, not to get off the subject, but whenever we say the word dveikus, we always have to discern there are two kinds of dveikus. One is something that's an avoda that we're supposed to try to do, which is it's offshoot of Avos Hashem, and it means that a person is fully engrossed and enthusiastic. He's all there. That's called, you can call it the dveikus rikshit. The term I got from Rabbi Nosson Rotman. There's an emotional dveikus. There's a avoda that a person becomes so involved and so engrossed and enthusiastic about Hashem. That's called dveikus. But when you talk about the schar is going to be dveikus, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean it's going to be an emotional high in olam haba. It means there's some actual connection. That's the dveikus. We'll call it. He calls it dveikus atzmit, inherent clinging. So not to get confused with the two.
Which is in olam haba.
Right, and usually that's all. And here he says that for a Navi it's even possible in olam hazeh. The Navi has this kind of a dveikus that he's connected to Hashem. Of course, it doesn't mean Hashem's atzmusa. It means Hashem's revelation, but he's connected to that revelation. And it's possible that he can even do supernatural things. The Navi might be empowered to do supernatural accomplishments, like he says, miracles and wonders, according to the level of dveikus that he attained. So that's besides the information that I got. Adkan, he speaks about regular Nevi'im. Regular Nevi'im means all regular Nevi'im. But the regular Nevi'im means all different levels, but they're all in the level called Navuah. But then there's one level that's a category for itself, and there's only one person who is in that category. That's Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was in the category of himself, and the Rambam himself in the 13 Ikrim, one is on other Nevi'im, and then there's about Navuah's Moshe Rabbeinu. So that's another type of Navuah, but only Moshe Rabbeinu attained it. And it's only possible for him to attain it, and that's the next one. You must know, you must know that all the levels, even though there are many levels of prophecy, but all of them are below the level of Moshe Rabbeinu. And they're very different, very, very different. Theoretically, any person could get to be, he's not saying everybody could be a Navi, but there's nothing inherently that's stopping anybody to become a Navi. And really, just to put the side point that everybody's really supposed to become Naviim. Blessed lover, when it says, what's the tachlis of Am Yisrael to become Naviim? Like Moshe says over there, Umi Yitain Kalam Hashem Nevi'im. That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be Ruach HaKodesh and not Ruach HaKodesh, Navuah. That's really the purpose of our being here. They come to the shleimus of being so close to Hashem. Yitzchak Shlomo Zilberman used to say that a Jew who's not a Navi is a Baal Mum. Like he's a blemished. He's a blemished. A Jew is not a Navi. Like there's something's wrong. Like that's not what it's supposed to be. He's supposed to what?
Any Jew who's not a Navi.
Rabbi Zilberman, Rabbi Yitzchak Shlomo Zilberman. That the level of Am Yisrael is supposed to be Nevi'im, and if they're not, so we're in a problem. We're in the state. We're now in all the years of Golos. That's not the way. That wasn't the plan. The plan is supposed to be Am Yisrael are Nevi'im. And he says such a lashon that everybody could be reached to the level. Any person that merits could reach to the level of Navuah. But Navuah's Moshe Rabbeinu olav shalom he madrega achas shenesyach dalo he efshel lacher she'asiga klal. But the level of Navuah of Moshe Rabbeinu is a level which is designated only for him, and nobody else could attain it. It's impossible for any other person to attain the level of Navuah's Moshe Rabbeinu. It was only a one-time thing, one person. I think he doesn't explain over here why that is. But the fact that the Torah was given through him, so that's nobody else is going to come and say the Torah changed. There's nothing above the Torah. This is the word of Hashem through Moshe Rabbeinu, and there's no other level. Everybody can reach that level.
So nobody can be Moshe.
Nobody can be Moshe Rabbeinu.
I heard stories that's every baby that's born. We say that he could be.
Could be Moshe Rabbeinu. So I think that it should be translated. There's such a lesson of the Rambam, but I think he himself is going to say also, this is from the Rambam kind of talk, that there can't be another Moshe Rabbeinu. But I think he means to say every person could reach his perfection, the same way Moshe Rabbeinu reached his perfection. But his perfection is less than Moshe Rabbeinu's past. He doesn't have the ability to be, and not even Moshe Rabbeinu, you could say that not everybody could be even a Talmud Chacham. Not everybody.
I think Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky, the baby eating from a non-Jewish mother, the milk, whatever, and so he says that for halach we learn from Moshe Rabbeinu. That's why even today.
But it's mutter. The truth, halach is that it's mutter. It's mutter to nurse from a. We had that in Avodah Zarah. It's only a question if you trust her that she might harm the baby. But if there's no question about her harming the baby, then it's mutter to drink the milk.
I don't know, I heard something from Rabbi Akiva that he said just like we learned that from Moshe Rabbeinu that because anybody could be Moshe Rabbeinu.
Okay,
That's why
if you could remind me to look it up, I would like. We had it in the Avodah Zarah. We spoke about this in the Mishnah. So Avodah Zarah. So I'll try to. Okay, but you have to look in the sources.
His name is Shusadin. His name is Shusadin, I think.
It could be that someone would want to be machmer, not to let the baby have the non-Jewish woman's milk. But halachically, it's mutter, and we had spoke about it. We had some note over there to say. So I'll try to come in next week. If you could remind me, I appreciate it. So that's what he says about Moshe Rabbeinu. There's much more elaboration. We're in a summary. It's only a small essay, concise. But in Derech Hashem, he does spoke about the differences. His whole parak about it. There's first about Navuah, then there's a whole parak about Navuah. So here he gives only one paragraph, and he only says that it's different. Nobody else could reach it. He doesn't say what it is, and in what ways it's different. The pasuk itself says, "Usmunas Hashem Yabid U'Marev Lo B'Chidos." The pasuk itself, the whole Beis Yinenu, it says that Moshe Rabbeinu was different. So the level of Navuah of Moshe Rabbeinu was unattainable.
You also see that there's like a few instances, like 3 with like Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron, where they come with a Navi comes with another, like very powerful figure.
Over there, sometimes it says Hashem spoke to Moshe and Aaron.
Right.
Okay, that's saying that there was Navuah to both of them. But it doesn't mean that Aaron had the level of Moshe Rabbeinu.
No,
Right? It wouldn't mean that.
For sure, we know that already from Miriam, and we see
Right.
Miriam also had Navuah.
And they thought that was the kind that they thought that they were all said, and Hashem said no, he's different. That's where the pasuk talks about this subject. That Moshe Rabbeinu was different. When Hashem told Moshe and Aaron told Aaron and Miriam that Moshe is not the same, they thought that he's doing things different. We're all Nevi'im. So Hashem said no, he's not. He's different than everybody else. So we had already 2 subjects. If we'd have the subtitles, the first one was about Navuah in general, prophecy in general. The second one was about Navuah Moshe Rabbeinu. The next subject now is Ruach HaKodesh, which is going down. Navuah Moshe Rabbeinu was higher, and now we're going to talk about Ruach HaKodesh, which is less than Navuah. Ruach HaKodesh will be translated as Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit. But the Spirit means not what they talk about spirits when they say the Holy Spirit. That's not a good translation nowadays. It means a revelation. That's going to be called Ruach HaKodesh, but it's not the level of Navuah.
Premonition.
I'm not familiar with the word.
A premonition is you have a
like an intuition kind of thing.
Not an intuition. You're given a premonition. Is meaning you're shown something.
Glimpse.
Huh?
Like you glimpse. You glimpse things.
You're given a glimpse.
That's not real.
But that will be even on a physical level. That term is used in physical.
A person who has a premonition is a person who all of a sudden just, like they say, like some math problems that are solved. They're just someone who had a premonition and the answer was given to
I don't
him.
think that's the same.
Right, so now we'll say what Ruach HaKodesh and see if it fits into that. Below the level of prophecy is the level called Ruach HaKodesh. It's a influence that Hashem is influencing man's intellect. That when that shofar comes to the man, he gets this information. It's fixed this information in him. Without any doubt and without any mistake. He knows the thing in its entirety. Its premises and its consequences. Everything. He knows the whole thing. He doesn't have to figure anything out. There's no figuring out. Hashem put it into his mind, the whole concept, the whole idea, with everything he has to know about it. No figuring out. Figuring out is the human faculty that Hashem made, that a person could have seichel. How does he in the Derech Hashem? He called it seichel enoshi. I forgot what he called it over there. And then there's seichel nishpa. That is an influence seichel.
The difference between this and Navuah is that Navuah actually sees something from the future.
This also could be, he's going to say this also could be something in the future. He's going to say soon. He's going to say soon this also could be things in the future, but I'll say one of the main differences is that here, it's not connecting to Hashem. Here, he's being given the information, but it's not because of a connection of Hashem. The Navuah, the main point of the difference is that the Navuah is connecting to Hashem, and in that connection, he's going to get information. Here, it's the information alone without being connected.
So how does it come down?
Hashem makes that he should have this information. Hashem kol yochol. Hashem makes that he should have this information, but not that he's connecting to him.
Very interesting.
Hard to hear that David HaMelech
Very
didn't have
interesting.
Navuah.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that Malchus
Because
didn't
we
have
say-
Navuah?
I thought we always say that he was a master of Ruach HaKodesh.
But I think that
And not-
in the
not
Gemara,
Navuah.
in the 48, in the list of the 48 Nevi'im,
Right, we did
over
see
there,
that.
Rashi I think lists David HaMelech. He's one
Yeah,
as one
we
of the
did see
48.
that, we did
It could be that when it means what we have Ksuvim from David HaMelech to Hillel, so that was not Navuah. He doesn't say Ko Amar Hashem. So that's not Navuah. He's not saying something in the name of Hashem, but he himself, it might have been a Navi. Rashi over there, I think. I'm pretty sure we saw that Rashi
We
does
did
list him.
Yeah,
This
the Rambam.
this majority of Ruach Kodesh is also adapted for Klal Yisrael.
I don't know.
Kodesh.
I don't know.
You go.
It surely has to be. I mean, put it this way. I think so. The Mesilas Yesharim is a book, a ladder of perfection that a person is the path of the upright, and the last level is Ruach HaKodesh. It means that he tells you the different rungs of the ladder, and this is all to bring. The last one is Kedusha, but after that he tells you after that is Ruach HaKodesh, and then Navuah. So, if you have to have all of those prerequisites in order to get to Ruach HaKodesh, then it would mean that it's only for Jews then, l'chora.
They do have documented in books of people who lived hundreds of years ago that had predictions. They predicted things that were going to happen within the next 100 years or 200 years, and according to their predictions, they were correct.
But again, it doesn't mean that it was from Kedusha. It might have been that it was connecting to some Koach HaTomah also.
Right.
Is there energies that are neutral? I don't know. But if they are not, but it definitely doesn't mean necessarily that it's going to be from Kedusha.
One of the most famous ones was an astronomer, and he was Jewish.
So astrology, the Gemara does look at astrology as a truth, and there's a way to see in the stars, if someone knows how to do it, that he can see in the stars what the future is going to be or what. So, and that's not considered the Ruach HaKodesh neither. It's just a koach that Hashem made. You could call it natural. It means the same way that
It's a science.
It's a science. That's the way to say it. The same way that meteorologist could tell what the weather's going to be because he knows how to look at the clouds. So if you know how to look at the stars, you're also going to see what's coming, but not because it's Ruach HaKodesh, not Kodesh at all. And the Gemara seems to say that the astrology is a truth. Doesn't mean that what they're doing today is that truth, but there is such a koach in the Bria that Hashem said you can see the screen. The stars would be the screen of what is going to happen, or what a person's chunota, or whatever it might be. But that doesn't go into Kedusha yet. So he says here that there's such a thing that a person will get such a shefa of haskala, of intellect that Hashem is giving him, and he's going to know things without having to figure it out with his human intellect. Now he's going to say the point that you were saying, is the point you're asking, is it possible to have something about the future? So first he says that it could be that it's something that he also would be able to attain theoretically with a human intellect, but he's being given it as a present. It's something that could be figured out with the regular channel of human intellect, but he's being given a present, or he's going to say soon that it's possible to be something that's given out, that kind of information that wouldn't be possible to figure out. And he's going to say also it might be the future, like he says, the last word on the line is going to be Atidot. So here he says, through this Shefa, it's possible that he will understand things that are within human intellect, natural human intellect, but he's getting it through a different channel. The same kind of information, let's say some kind of math problem or something like that is possible to figure out with human intellect, but he's going to be given it as a present. He has all the whole theorem he's going to have without having to figure it out. Hashem gave it to him as a present, and he knows the whole thing. The benefit of having it through this channel of Ruach HaKodesh more than having it from the channel of human intellect is, first of all, he didn't work for this. He was given it, he attained it without working. He didn't have to figure it out, as we would say in English. And the second one is no mistakes. When human intellect is subject to mistakes, and he'll have this information without any mistakes. And the third thing is and won't have any doubt about it. It's clear. But something that he attains in through human intellect, he has to work for it, and he can make a mistake, and he's not so sure about it. So that's the benefit that someone might have from the Ruach HaKodesh information, even though it's something which is in the category which is attainable by human intellect. But now he says it's possible to have also information given to him that's out of the realm of human intellect. There's something that he wouldn't be able to know. They might be able to attain things that are out of the realm of natural human intellect. Those included in that would be secrets, secrets about Hashem's anhaga, things that you can't figure out if you're not told, and the future. That is possible to know the future only if Hashem told you. You can figure out the future, unless you have some communicate, maybe some way of knowing from the stars, as we said before. But if it would be just figuring out, you couldn't figure it out on your own. But Hashem gives a person a Ruach HaKodesh, it's possible it will be information that he wouldn't be able to figure out on his own. So he says both of them fit under this category called Ruach HaKodesh. Not only is it, some people today nowadays, in the terminology people use today, so they say Ruach HaKodesh means knowing the future. That's come out the only thing that they say. So that's not what it is. That's not what it is. It doesn't say dafka that it's to know what's going to happen in the future. It might even be more important to know the secrets, like the Anistaros, like secrets about Hashem's Hashgacha. That's maybe more important than to know the future only. But today people are only interested in what the future is going to be. But that's not the point of Ruach HaKodesh. It's to be given a seichel mushpa, that Hashem is influencing him with this intellect, and he's not working on it through the regular channels of human intellect. And he says that it could be things that it could be figured out, but humanly. But that's he's giving it as a present, and he has these three benefits: that it's without the work, and without any mistake, and without any doubt. But it's also possible to have information that's given to him that's out of the realm of human intellect, and included in that would also be things that are secrets about Hashem's orchestrating the world and about the future. The last thing he says is that there's something that's less than Ruach HaKodesh. It's not really Ruach HaKodesh. Might be a borrowed term to call it by that name, but it's not actual Ruach HaKodesh. Maybe this might be something like a premonition. I don't know exactly, that's in the word to me, or intuition. Still not what we're talking about is that the person who received this Ruach HaKodesh, he has no question that this was influenced. It wasn't something that he figured out, or it's not on a human level. He realized that it's not on a human level, it was something that was given into him.
The same as the Navuah.
Right, but the Navuah, he knows that he's Davik. That's even more. We said Navuah is different than Ruach HaKodesh. Navuah means that he's connecting to Hashem. And over there he knows for sure he's connecting to Hashem. Here he's not connecting to Hashem.
He knows that he got it.
Right, but here he has no doubt that what he got was given to him from an outside source. But there's such a thing that sometimes he will be influenced with information about something, but he doesn't feel it. It means he doesn't feel that this is something, he got the idea, it fell into his head. But not that he realizes that it's something which was given from an outside source. It'll happen the same way, like an idea pops into his head, which happens to everybody, that an idea pops into his head. So here he'll get something, outstanding. But it's still, he doesn't feel that it was communicated to him. And that's not really Ruach HaKodesh. That's sometimes called, just as a borrowed term, an expanded term, that it's also called Ruach HaKodesh, but it's not accurately called Ruach HaKodesh.
So what's it called?
They do, the Gemara will call it Ruach HaKodesh, but he's saying that don't take it literally. It doesn't mean the Ruach HaKodesh we're talking about. That's not real. So what the name is going to be, so it is referred to as that, as a borrowed term. I don't know if there's a different term for it.
So the first Ruach HaKodesh, he knows for sure that it's coming from Kedusha.
So I just said he didn't say these words, but I got the impression from the Mesilas Yesharim that the way to get Ruach HaKodesh, you have to have the 9
so he
prerequisites.
Knows it's from Kedusha, it's not from Tumah.
I think that a person should know if it's Kedusha or
If someone
Tumah.
didn't reach a certain level, he just
It popped into his head. Yeah, but even then it surely is not. If a person is not a Zohar is Naki, and then he should know for sure it's not Ruach HaKodesh. I would think that sure it's not Ruach HaKodesh.
It's not even the second level.
The second one, it has nothing to do with his with
Kedusha?
the Chorah. That to be that Hashem gave him the same way Hashem gives him an idea. The idea pops into people's heads. That happens always. So there could be that Hashem is giving him something that's outstanding information, but he doesn't feel. Everyone talks about people feeling Kedusha, feeling them. So the Ramchal says a couple of places that people you don't feel that. It's not something that you could feel because the neshama, the guf they're not sensitive to that level of the kedusha of the neshama. So when a person is going to say Sfira Somer and he says Hashek Kedushanu b'Misvosav v'Tzivanu, and it means he said the Sfira Somer, you became more kadosh now. Do you feel more kadosh? So you should know that you're more kadosh because you know that you did the mitzvah. unless you counted the wrong night, you know. And then you didn't. Then you might feel kadosh because you think you did the mitzvah, but you didn't. But the regular feeling people have is only because they think that they're kadosh, and that's not a gauge. It's not a gauge. Your feeling is not a good gauge. Someone's going to go to a certain place on a certain day and with a certain song, and he's going to think that he's getting very uplifted. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's kadosh, just because he feels it, and it's what they call a spiritual, experience.
Spiritual high.
A high, spiritual high. That doesn't mean that he's really spiritual high. He just thinks he is. That's not a gauge.
Why does he?
But Ruach HaKodesh, he's emotional. He's emotional. He thinks. When a person thinks, we said a mashal many times, and I hope no one's bored of it, that when a person takes a lulav and he feels kadosh after he did it, he feels kadosh. But then we tell him that this lulav is puzzle. A person goes to the mikveh, he says, I feel tahor. Then we say that the plug was in. You didn't go. You went to the bathtub. You didn't go to the mikveh. So is that it's not a gauge. That's the reason you know why you feel tahor, because you think you went to the mikveh, so you think that you're tahor. And if it's a mistake, it's a mistake. That's not the gauge. If there would be a real if it were real, it would be a sensitivity to kedusha. So you should say this lulav. Something's. I went to the mikveh. He said, "This is what's something's wrong. I don't feel tahor." So then it doesn't happen to most people. Now he says here, Ruach HaKodesh you do feel. He only talks about feeling by Ruach HaKodesh. Ruach HaKodesh is the level that the person does feel.
But the second level is something you don't feel, and that can happen to anyone.
Right, and that's not kedusha. It sounds that it's not kedusha.
How does someone know if it's coming from Tumah or kedusha?
Again, on the level of Ruach HaKodesh, on the last one, I don't know if it has anything to do with kedusha. The last one that Hashem put an idea into somebody's mind, I don't know if that's called kedusha at all.
And
he says it's called
Therefore, it's nothing to do with Tum either.
Right. That'll be that. Like they say, a natural thing. Even it's kamat natural. That a fella, when a person idea falls into his head. So where did it fall from? I don't know. But that's called in the natural. That's still in the natural realm.
A lot of people use the kedusha, the signs of kedusha, as a gauge. Like for instance, they'll look at a person and they'll see the person is a very holy person, and the person gives amazing advice, and they see lamaisa that everything that the person says will happen or won't happen.
So the first thing
many
about
times happens. So now that doesn't necessarily mean that it's coming from a kadosh place.
Right, even though he looks kadosh.
Even though he looks very kadosh.
He looks very kadosh. In some places in Eretz Yisrael, and years ago, you go into somebody's sukkah, you see a picture of Santa Claus. And the people who know what the picture is, they would faint. What are you doing at that? But somebody who doesn't know, Yerushalmi, that went to the store to buy a noise sukkah, and that's such a nice picture of Hadras Panim of this, so they have no problem with it. You can't.
No,
you can't
I'm
tell.
talking about even in a place where they have, like, they once had a story that there was someone who had the ability to tell people things about themselves and what advice what to do through looking at their mezuzahs and stuff like that.
Okay, so I don't know those things.
There's some of them where people were warned to say that this person is
kadosh.
It doesn't necessarily have credentials that it's coming from a kadosh.
Right. Right. So yes, true. And the Hal says that such a thing. He doesn't go into detail over here, but in the Derech Hashem he talks about. A person might use shemos, names of Hashem, in a way that he's going to force malachim to do something supernatural, but it's a big avera, and he's going to be punished very much for it. So that's because you see supernatural things, you shouldn't be impressed.
But when
and
you have
I would say,
Rav who is a gadol, and you see that.
So you're going for his chachma. You're going for his chachma. You're not going for the ruach
hakodesh. The things that he says, like he
might be a big chacham.
I went to Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach in 1986. And there was a Maisa that was happening, which was a terrible Maisa, and we were supposed to arrange Tehillim at the Beis, and they sent me to him to tell him the story, and he heard the story, and he said, it's shtuyot, it'll get thrown out of court. And they went to court that day, and the judge got sick. They switched it with another judge, and the judge says this is ridiculous. This is in court.
So I don't know. So I say the choices. So it might be the idea that he talks about that Hashem put something into his head, even if it wouldn't be Ruach HaKodesh. It might be that he's a big chacham. I would lean that he had the chachma to understand. If he's saying it's because the judge got, then that's not what I'm saying.
That's
if it was the judge,
that's what they were saying. I'm just saying.
If it's so, I'm not against to say that from Zalman Ruach HaKodesh. I would not object. He fit the credentials of the 9 prerequisites. But if somebody's going to come with all kinds of future, even if he's right, but I see that he's not a Zahir Zor is, it doesn't fit into the Mesil Shalom's prerequisite, so then that would be a big kasha to me, that it's not coming from Kedusha.
Last level.
It might be, but how much are you going to trust that? You have to see his records, how much to trust him.
The last level could also if the last level had nothing to do with Kedusha.
So it could be that he has it
non-Jew
also. It could be. Could be.
Because I'll say that God in the Torah, when He says something, He organized the world so that person's words are emes.
So I don't know where that Chazal. I don't know where the Chazal. I don't know that. So there's such that like, let's say tzaddik goes to the Kodesh Baruch Hu Mekai. So it might be such a thing that like a tefillah of a tzaddik. Also, you'll say that maybe his davening is worth more. Yes, surely his davening is worth more, and a bracha of a tzaddik is worth a lot. But when people are going to him for the Ruach HaKodesh, so then they have to know. First of all, do Chazal advise to go to Ruach HaKodesh? Do they advise to go to a Chacham? Chazal, when people have problems, they say to go. This such thing as the Eitzah. The Pesukim in the Mishnah talk about getting for advice. Advice means that you give out the story and you hear the tzadim, and then you make the decision based on the advice. But people nowadays, they don't go for advice; they go for Ruach HaKodesh. And then the question was, how do you know that the person has Ruach HaKodesh? If it's because of the experience, so then you have to get all the stories. There was a famous story from one of the Chassidish Rabbanim. I think it was I forgot the names. I won't say the names because I'm not sure. But this everybody knew. People know Chassidish Rebbes. They know the story. There was a certain Rebbe that they wanted to put out the book of all his mofsim, all of the miracles that the Rebbe accomplished. So the son-in-law said that if you're going to put out the one edition, the one volume of all of his successes, so then you have to put out the other 20 volumes of his failures. Means that sometimes they make a lot of noise about the successes, but that's not, if you want to know statistically, am I going to go to him because he's always right? It's not fair only if you have all the information. And they only make a lot of noise out of the successes, but they don't say about the failures. So it's not fair. It's not a responsible thing to do. So Chazal in general, I think they don't advise going for Ruach HaKodesh advice. They tell you to go to advice. The Pesukim in Mishlei, and there's such a thing called advice. In Aprek Yov, Marbe Eitzah, Marbe Tzvuna. If you go for more and more advice, here different. A Chacham is wise. Talmid Chacham is wise, has experience, zikna. So you go to them for advice. What does advice mean? That they see angles that you weren't able to figure out, and then you have to make the decision. And the more eitzah you get, the more tevun, the more understanding you get. If it has to do with Ruach HaKodesh, then it's the opposite. If you go to one person, you got the answer. If you go to two people, now you're confused. So it's not marbe, it's a marbe confusion.
A gadol in term, there's a bracha shib
Cholak michachmoso liyireyo. So it's chachma. The chachma is not Ruach HaKodesh. That's a different subject. People are not happy with Chachma. They want Ruach HaKodesh. They don't trust Chachma. Hashem is Chachma. They don't trust it. No. Chachma is human Chachma. And there's Torah that he has the Chachma Torah, but that's not Ruach HaKodesh. So people don't trust Chachma Torah. They want or Chachma.
I had an 8th grade Rebbe.
They want direct line.
I had an 8th grade Rebbe who told us the story in class that he had a daughter who got 3rd-degree burns over her whole body from a boiling pot of Haggalah before Pesach. And they got a call in the middle of the Seder from the hospital saying that she wasn't going to make it. If they wanted to see her, they had to come. And on the way, they stopped off on the way at a house of a Hasidic Rebbe, who was their Rebbe, and they told him that they're going to see their daughter for the last time. And the Hasidic Rebbe told him to go to the hospital and that the mother should just make a tumult and not stop until the head doctor comes and just keep screaming that they're killing your child. He sent him off, and she did that, and the doctor came, and the head doctor wanted to know what's going on. She said she's just hysterical because her daughter is dying. So he said, let me see the records, and it turned out they were giving the wrong medication, and she survived. They changed the medication.
So is that a mofes or is that a chacham?
Or is that Ruach HaKodesh?
We don't know. We don't know.
I was. But it's Rebbe Shmeiser from someone that doesn't have.